Hello, I'm Sylvia Boorstein, and I'm very happy to be with you in this month of Elul. One of the very best parts of Elul in my practice experience is the fact that we get to recite with ourselves or with community every single day Psalm 27. And one of my favorite of all psalm lines is right in the middle of Psalm 27 with the verse that begins, "One thing I ask of God, one thing only, to live in God's house all the days of my life." And I love that. And I think about what it means to live in God's house. What could it possibly mean to me? What does it mean to you? And I think, or at least what I feel about it, is I dwell in concentric houses, a little bit like Russian dolls that open and there are little ones and little ones and little ones. I feel like I live in a little space and a larger space and a larger space and a larger space and an infinite space, and that there's a way to be comfortable in all of those spaces. In fact, I think it's amazing that human beings have the capability of being in their personal space with their family and their events and their grandchild who calls with news or their next door neighbor who talks to them over the back fence. We have our people that are close to us in actual geographic proximity. We have the people that are very close to our hearts, even though they're not in geographic proximity. And of course, in this time of COVID, we have a great deal of proximal distance, well, that's backwards, of non proximal awareness of people who are proximate to our heart. That makes more sense. But we are only, all the people I know are probably, I don't know, maybe 200 people that I've heard of and are, that I can recognize. I once read that it's something between 100 and 200 people that we actually know. But there are billions of people who live on this whole planet. And I think to myself, one of the amazing things about human beings is we can know and care about and think about the people who are close to us, and we recognize and know, and we can be touched by what's going on with them, and we are, and we can think about and be moved by people who we don't know their names but are far away. We can look at a news story of a refugee family without a place to securely live that's thousands of miles from here and feel for that father or that mother for their difficulties in making their family comfortable. And it's amazing that as human beings, we can care as much in a virtual universe, in the universe that we know about, as much sometimes as we feel we do in our universe of people that are our kin. And in fact, I think it's because we learn from the time that we're children to be so in love with our kin and really appreciate how much our kin loves us that gives us the ability to look at a family in a photo or a video and on the other side of the world trying to care for their children and feel for them a real feeling of compassion because we know that feeling from having learned it with our parents and our siblings and our cousins and our uncles and our aunts. It's an amazing thing. I think it's one of those things that I think about when we say things like human beings are a little lower than the angels, or that human beings are made b'tselem Elohim in the in the form of God, in the image of God. That's a really extraordinary capacity we have to love broadly without kinship. And may we come soon to a world where everyone in the world loves broadly, in spite of not having kinship. That kinship then changes from genetic kinship to human being kinship, and we take care of each other. I very much like that in the recent decades, we have changed the ends of the prayer for peace for all of us from Aleinu v'al Kol Yisrael to the last phrase that we now, many of us add, Ve'al Kol Yoshvei Tevel, and all the inhabitants of the earth. So I'd like for us to do for this Elul meditation that will start with this very body and then move out of this very body in the mind into the proximal space and more space and more space and more space. And then come back to the physical awareness of this body and do a parallel moving out from the people we know to the people we don't know. So I hope you'll join me in making yourself comfortable in a sitting position. I find it's good for me to close my eyes. That as soon as my eyes are closed, I feel my body more clearly. It's as if it becomes more available to me. I often think of the time that we had Polaroid cameras and we immediately took out a print and left it out in the sun, and then it developed and it became more clear and more clear and more clear. If I close my eyes and I sit in a quiet room, quiet space, and I don't do anything except have an awareness of this body sitting, I often find that just like that Polaroid print, I feel my body present itself to me. So I'll be quiet for just a little bit, and each of us can give our bodies a chance to present themselves to us. If your room is quiet and if there isn't a particular discomfort or pain in any part of your body, the likelihood is that the most prominent sensation that you'll feel is the repeating sensation of the body expanding as breath comes into it and then settling back down as breath goes out. It's as if the universe breathes into us and then gives the body a chance to do the magical removal of the oxygen and the transmission of carbon dioxide gets ready to go out into the world to feed the trees. A remarkable exchange of air-breathing mammals with carbon dioxide breathing green trees and grasses happens every single breath in every single breath-breathing mammal. The world and the green world, people and the green world breathing each other back into life, breath after breath. I love to think about that. Brings a certain amount of delight into my mind. What an amazing body this is. what a miracle it is, really. For the most part, if people are not dealing with lung illness or asthma or even allergies, then breath after breath, seamlessly, without trouble, the universe and human beings breathe each other back into life. It brings a certain amount of delight to my mind, and I hope to yours. And it causes my mind and my body to relax a little bit. Sometimes I find that I begin to smile because it seems to me such a miracle, so amazing. And I'm so delighted and gratified that here I am in life and it's still happening. Just for a while, let your attention be at the part of your body that seems most involved in that interchange of breath in, breath out. The part around your diaphragm, the part around your rib cage and your belly, the part that is most prominent in movement. It moves out, the rib cage moves out, your belly might push out, your back might push against the chair that you're sitting in, or your bottom against the chair that you're sitting on. As your body gets a little bigger, as it fills with air, and then as it lets the air out, a little smaller. Sometimes I think of my body as a balloon or as a football. Sometimes I think God is breathing into me. And it tickles me to think about that. And everyone. Let your attention particularly rest around that part of your body that's getting bigger and then resting back down and getting bigger without you doing anything at all. You don't have to have any conscious volition. It just happens. And hold that whole area of your body, your belly and your rib cage, as the center of this amazing breathing enterprise. And then, if you like, expand that focus of attention wider than just the belly and the rib cage and the diaphragm. Notice that your shoulders pick up a little bit. Your rib cage pushes out on the side a little bit, depending if my arms are alongside of my body. I feel them push out a little bit. And if they're resting on the arms of my chair, they don't push out so much as the forearms push down on the chair. It's a little bit as if I take up a wee bit more space in the world of space. And then I come back to my own smallest space. And then I take up a little more space. I move into the world. And then I come back into my limited space. I'll be quiet and see if you can hold your whole body with your arms and your rib cage and your shoulders and your belly and your pelvis and your bottom on your chair and even your thighs and your legs, your calves. See if you can feel each breath as it comes in and manifests by making your whole body take up a little bit more space in the world. And so far, there's nothing that's moved except your attention. That's noticed how the body moves just by itself in concert with the breath in and out, in concert with the whole world. It may be for you, as it is for me, that if you feel around with your consciousness, it's not so easy to feel where your physical body actually ends and the rest of the world begins. I can feel the warmth around my face of the air in the room and the warmth on the tops of my hands. But without opening my eyes, I can't quite tell where they end and the air around them begins. And I like to remember that although my physical body certainly has dimensions, and there's a way in which it could be measured and say, this is its size, that there's another way in which it doesn't end. It moves into the whole world around it and is part of it. So if I move my consciousness, I think, well, I can't feel those edges of my body so well. Maybe I'll move out the edges of my consciousness, past where I am, past my chair, maybe past my room, past my house. I find that when I do it, I start to have more ear consciousness, like listening, like what's there. Maybe there's a way in which you as well can feel that my separateness at this moment has disappeared. And I'm part of a breathing world. And if it's true for you that at this moment your body feels safe, carried along by the magic of one breath after another, maybe your mind can make the blessing. May all air breathing animals all around this whole world feel safe. May everything feel safe, assured of its next moment of life. On your own, you could, of course, rest in this open awareness of life creating itself over and over again for as long as you liked in any meditation period. For now, let your awareness come back to your physical body in its physical space without moving, but with attention. You can re-feel your arms on the chair, your hands wherever they are, this body breathing. This mind at ease. Into this mind at ease, invite some of your kin, the people in your immediate family, the people whose safety you're responsible for or you care for. Your kin, your children, parents if you have them, siblings if you have them. The mind is totally at ease. It feels safe. I think this is at home, safe in God's house. And with your kin now invited to be with you, maybe you can be aware of each one of them and make a blessing for them. May you feel the safety of being at home in God's house all the days of your life. Think of some people who are perhaps not your kin, but very beloved to you. People you easily think of without ruffling your own mind. They might be your next door neighbors, they might not. Pick some people who you care for, who aren't kin, but whom you care about a great deal. Sometimes I find this part of this exercise is a time that I really can dwell thinking about, oh yes, this one and that one, and don't forget to mention this one. It's a great pleasure in the mind and in the heart to think about, oh, I might have forgotten this one. So there's not a need to rush out of this part, because the mind is really infinite. Infinite people can be in it. In your heart, you can hold infinite people with a wish. May you also feel safe at home in the holiest and safest of worlds. May this world be the holiest and safest of worlds. Sometimes when I'm feeling, as I do in this moment, quite relaxed and at ease, I'm moved to think about people who ordinarily the thought of stirs up my mind. Sometimes I think, no, I don't want to do that. It'll stir up my mind and my mind feels good now. Sometimes I think to myself, well, now's your chance. Just don't let it stir up your mind. Wherever they are, may they be peaceful and happy, feel safe, not suffering. My experience is that by doing it, I don't know if the people feel safer, but I feel safer with them, and my mind feels better. It's actually a blessing for myself to put down unpleasant thoughts and old grudges. May all beings everywhere feel safe and at ease and comfortable taking care of their family. May this be a world of people taking care of themselves and their kin and everyone else, in the recognition that we could all live out the injunction to love our neighbors as ourselves, really to love, and in the safety of that love, to bless our lives and everyone else's, and to be grateful for them. May all living beings be at ease in a world of caring. Amen. It's been a pleasure.
On behalf of everyone, I will say thank you, Sylvia.